and for improvising with us. The judge and I made a snap decision, so we want to apologize to our staff, but this is such a significant mural. The name of it is Assiduity, and it is a mural dedicated to essential workers whose critical work has kept the county functioning during COVID in particular. Helping end poverty is the focus of this United Nations sustainability goal. Is goal number one, because half of Americans in low-wage occupations are indeed essential workers. And the judge and I made that decision at the last minute to switch and come out here, and we thought that you'd appreciate the fact it'll keep us from talking too long. Obviously, Judge Hidalgo is here with me. I appreciate her being here. She'll introduce Barbara Robinson when she comes up. Judge, I know that someone from Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee's staff is here, and Congressman Al Green's staff is here. We appreciate it because this is federal money. I have been asked to make sure that we thank Platinum Parking. It is on the sign because on short notice, like 45 minutes ago, they worked it out to let us come here. Tomorrow, Commissioner's Court will take up a critical vote to fund and implement Uplift Harris. It is a guaranteed income pilot program that will help families rise above poverty and strengthen all of Harris County. If approved, Harris County will join Los Angeles and Cook counties, 45 cities and other smaller counties in a national effort to realize Dr. Martin Luther King's vision for a guaranteed income program to advance economic freedom and prosperity for all. In the last years of Dr. King's life, he called for a guaranteed income program to end poverty and make real this country's promise of freedom, equality, and justice for everybody. Despite our region's vast prosperity in Harris County, we're also facing rampant wealth income inequality. Decades of neglect, inequality, and discrimination have financially destabilized generations of Harris County families, perpetuating poverty and created unfair barriers to prosperity. Nearly 1 in 5 Black and Latino residents in our region live below the poverty line. Approximately 8% of Harris County residents, mostly Hispanic and African American, live in areas of persistent poverty. Unchecked and ongoing inequality has created an economic divide that families can't overcome on their own, and Harris County has an obligation to act. The 2023 Kinder Houston area survey found that 63% of respondents believe, quote, too little is being spent on programs and services support individuals and families experiencing poverty. That is why Harris County is piloting Uplift Harris, a program that provides an income floor, the stable ground that families need to rise above poverty and build a better life. Uplift Harris will be the first guaranteed income pilot program in a Texas county, not a Texas city, but in a Texas county. And tomorrow's vote, if it's approved, will be for $20.5 million in federal funds, ARPA funding, to implement the program later this fall. Through Uplift Harris, up to 1,500 families living below 200% of the federal poverty line. To put a face on that, those are people who make approximately $60,000 for a family of 4 and $29,000 for an individual, will receive $500 per month for 18 months to help with basic needs. Guaranteed income programs are effective tools to empower families and provide economic stability. Similar programs in other cities and counties have been shown to increase employment and incentivize people to work while reducing poverty. But the benefits go even further. Families report improvements to the physical and mental health, being able to spend more time with their children, and a greater sense of self-determination when they're trusted with the resources that they need to build a better life for themselves. They will make the decisions on what to do with this money. And the ability to live a good, dignified life is at the heart of what Dr. Martin Luther King fought for and died for. We think that it's past time to realize the vision he glimpsed from the mountaintop. With that, I'm proud to turn it over to the judge of Harris County, Judge Lina Hidalgo.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Director Robinson, and to you all for braving this heat. But I am glad that we did the press conference out here, Commissioner. And I appreciate you and I appreciate your staff for leading on this. I also want to thank Congresswoman Sheila Jackson-Lee and our federal congressional delegation who worked with the Biden administration for us to receive the funds that we are hoping to use for this initiative. Harris County is one of the most important economies in the country, certainly the most important in the state of Texas. Last year, Metro Houston added over 124,000 residents. That makes us the second fastest growing region in the nation. We saw 145,000 jobs added. We've got over 3.3 million jobs and growing. But the reality of it, not every resident is experiencing extraordinary economic growth. 1 in 6 people in Harris County live at or below the poverty line. As Commissioner said, a yearly income of less than $13,000 for an individual and less than $27,000 for a family of 4. To put that in perspective, a family must make more than $46,000 to afford a 2-bedroom apartment at fair market value in Texas. Nearly 1 in 2 residents in Harris County cannot afford a $400 emergency this year. That's according to a recent Kinder Institute survey. The level of poverty that we're seeing in an economy as large and as robust as ours should be a call to action. It's not good for those who are on the margins of homelessness and living in poverty, and it's not good for those with economic stability. Research shows that high poverty rates weaken communities and limit all of our access to economic prosperity. That's why Commissioner Ellis and I are announcing Uplift Harris, which is a proposed guaranteed income program for Harris County. Poverty across the nation and in our communities has proven intractable over the years. And although there is no silver bullet when it comes to eliminating poverty, we are seeing great promise with these kinds of programs. Guaranteed income programs act as a springboard for participants to find a way out of poverty, to greater economic mobility and housing stability, and the data shows that. So what is guaranteed income? A guaranteed income program is not a new idea. We would be joining, if passed, more than 82 cities and counties around the nation and over 10 countries around the world that have similar programs. Guaranteed income programs provide direct cash payments in fixed amounts that recipients can spend as they see fit. Our program, Uplift Harris, would provide $500 monthly cash payments to eligible families for 18 months, relying on federal dollars from the American Rescue Plan. Payments are meant to help people break the cycle of poverty. Recipients will be selected from the 10 most impoverished zip codes throughout the county, which make an annual median income of $35,000. Or based on their participation in a public health social service program called Access, which serves individuals in needs of services across the county. Zip codes, the 10 most impoverished zip codes include the following neighborhoods: Forest Acres, East 6 Jensen, Sunnyside, Northgate, Settle Guest, South Park, Greater Fifth Ward, Gulfton, Galena Park, and Acres Homes. Within that, it'll be a randomized process, and all of it will be run through our Harris County Public Health Department. We expect to begin implementing the program in the fall. We're aiming for September. The recipients would have full discretion to spend the funds on whatever they or their family need most. The extra money can mean not having to choose between being hungry or sitting in the dark. It can mean a difference to a single mother, to a struggling student. The goal is to empower recipients to spend the funds on what their most pressing needs are. We will have a local professional that would administer the evaluation of the program as well as the program itself within the public health department. So we will be evaluating the impacts and making decisions accordingly. Why do we want to pilot something like this in Harris County? It's because we've seen how successful similar programs have been all around the country and around the world. Here are a few examples. In Gainesville, Florida, and these are individuals, but the numbers show it too, a guaranteed income pilot allowed a recipient to interrupt the revolving door of poverty in his life and pay it forward. He was able to distribute care packages to those experiencing homelessness as he once did. In Birmingham, Alabama, a guaranteed income program allowed a single pregnant mother with a 4-year-old to have funds to maintain her small family. In New Orleans, a program helped a 23-year-old mother of 2 juggling motherhood and college classes with food, gas money, and school supplies. Now, there are folks who are going to say guaranteed income is just another handout, that folks who receive the funds will squander them, that guaranteed income discourages people from getting a job. But the reality is none of those things is true. Decades of research shows that people spend cash benefits wisely, leading to more financial stability and improved physical, emotional, and social outcomes. Cities like Minneapolis, Newark, Chicago, and others have implemented programs, and the majority of people spend the funds on groceries, transportation, or bills and utilities. There are people that work full-time that don't qualify for social services, but also do not have jobs that pay enough for them to make ends meet for their family. That's why we're standing in front of this mural. Take 39-year-old Gino Rosario from Tacoma, Washington. He's a single father of 3, makes $26 an hour as a technology consultant. Technically made too much money to qualify for federal assistance. The assistant spent more than half his monthly income on rent, fell under the poverty line, and was able to graduate from college and afford a tutor for his youngest from a guaranteed income program. We have many examples like these in our community, and hopefully with this program we'll have the kind of success stories that these other jurisdictions have as well. Tomorrow, Commissioners Court will have the opportunity to approve the first round of federal funds for this pilot program, and I hope that our colleagues will join us in bringing this tried and true initiative that focuses very much on individual agency to Harris County. Let me repeat my remarks in Spanish and then I'll introduce Director Robinson. Quiero darle las gracias al comisionado Ellis y también a la congresista Sheila Jackson Lee y a los líderes del Congreso, al presidente Biden, quienes nos han apoyado con los fondos para implementar este programa. El condado Harris es una de las economías más importantes del estado de Texas. El año pasado nuestra región agregó 124,000 residentes, permitiendo que el crecimiento de la población de nuestra región ocupara el segundo lugar en la nación. También agregamos 145,000 trabajos, tenemos más de 3.3 millones de empleos en nuestra región. Pero la realidad es que no todos los residentes en el condado están viviendo el extraordinario crecimiento económico que tiene nuestro condado Harris. Tenemos niveles de pobreza y desigualdad de ingresos que han crecido en los últimos años. 1 de cada 6 residentes en el condado viven en o por debajo de la línea de pobreza federal. O sea, su ingreso anual es menos de $13,000 para un individuo, menos de 27,000 para una familia de 4. Para poner eso en perspectiva, una familia tendría que tener ingresos de más de $46,000 anuales para poder pagar por un apartamento de 2 habitaciones en el estado de Texas. Casi 1 de cada 2 residentes en el condado Harris no pueden pagar una emergencia de $400 el día de hoy. Eso de acuerdo a una encuesta del Kinder Institute este año. Ese nivel de pobreza en una economía tan robusta y tan grande como la nuestra no puede ser permitido, debería llamar la atención. No es bueno para aquellos que viven en el margen de volverse personas sin hogar, y tampoco es bueno para la estabilidad económica de la región en general. Es por eso que estamos anunciando este programa Uplift Harris, una propuesta para un programa piloto de ingresos garantizados. La pobreza a través de la nación y nuestras comunidades se está demostrando ser algo terca, difícil de atacar. Pero los programas de ingreso garantizado han demostrado ser una vía eficaz para atacar ese tipo de pobreza. ¿Qué es un programa de ingresos garantizados? No es una idea nueva. Si pasamos este programa, seríamos una de más de 82 ciudades y condados en nuestro país y más de 10 países alrededor del mundo que han implementado este tipo de programas. Los programas de ingresos garantizados ofrecen pagos directos en efectivo de cantidades fijas a residentes. Los residentes, los beneficiarios, pueden invertir estos fondos a como ellos prefieran. Nuestro programa Uplift Harris proporcionaría $500 mensuales en por 18 meses. Para las familias elegibles serían pagos en efectivo y serían dependiendo de dolores federales en el plan de rescate estadounidense. Los pagos son para ayudar a que las personas rompan el ciclo de pobreza. Los beneficiarios serán elegidos de los 10 códigos postales de mayor pobreza, aquellos que tienen con ingreso menor de $35,000 o personas que son parte del programa Access Harris. Dentro de esas categorías será un sistema al azar, un proceso aleatorio. Y quiero clarificar que los individuos sin documentos también van a poder calificar para este programa. Esperamos que el programa comience a implementarse en el otoño, a lo más probable en septiembre. Los beneficiarios podrán utilizar los fondos como ellos quieran. También vamos a trabajar con investigadores para analizar los impactos de nuestro programa. ¿Por qué queremos hacer esto? Porque han funcionado en otros sitios alrededor del mundo, alrededor del país. Son ejemplos que hemos visto muchas veces, bien sea en la Florida, donde una persona que solía vivir sin hogar ahora ayuda a otros sin hogar. En Alabama, donde una mujer joven con un niño pequeño de 4 años, una mujer embarazada, logró poder salir adelante gracias a estos pagos. En Nueva Orleans, donde una mujer estudiante de 23 años logró graduarse de la universidad y además mantener a sus 2 hijos gracias a estos pagos. Hay algunos que dirán que esta es una limosna, que los que reciban los fondos lo malgastarán, que los ingresos garantizados desalientan a las personas de buscar empleo. Pero la realidad es que ninguna de estas preocupaciones es cierta. Casi 10 años de investigación demuestra que los individuales, los beneficiantes, invierten sus beneficios en efectivo de una manera inteligente. Además, esto ayuda la estabilidad económica y psicológica. Varias ciudades demuestran que las personas utilizaron los fondos en comestibles, en transporte, en facturas o servicios públicos. Hay muchas personas que trabajan tiempo completo, pero aún así no tienen trabajos que pagan suficiente para que puedan mantener su familia. Por eso estamos frente a este mural. ¿Cuántas personas que nos ven ahora, trabajan día y noche, fines de semana, y con todo y eso simplemente no tienen suficientes fondos para poder salir adelante? Sé que vamos a tener historias positivas como las que hemos visto alrededor de todo el país después de poder implementar este programa. El día de mañana se lo presentamos a la Corte de Comisionados y espero que aprueben esta iniciativa, que no es nueva, más que nada es traer al Condado Harris una innovación que depende mucho de las decisiones individuales de las personas en nuestra comunidad y que ha demostrado ser muy eficaz en atacar a la pobreza. We'll hear now from Director Robinson, our Public Health Department Director.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Commissioner Ellis. Thank you, Judge Hidalgo, for bringing Uplift Harris County before Commissioner's Court tomorrow. We should remember that economic stability is a determinant of health and well-being. And so we're grateful for this opportunity to really move the needle to address not just economic opportunity for individuals, but really breaking the cycle of generational poverty by implementing a program of this nature. As Commissioner Ellis mentioned, 8% of Harris County community members live below poverty. People in these situations can't afford things like healthy food, health care, and housing. One of the most effective anti-poverty solutions, in addition to jobs with a livable wage, is an opportunity to increase one's income and their mobility. This proven groundbreaking program is a first for our county and for any county in Texas. Several jurisdictions have used ARPA funds to implement guaranteed income pilots, and we would join the cities of Austin, San Antonio, Newark, East Los Angeles, Long Beach, Milwaukee, and Minneapolis, as well as Cook County, Illinois. The primary goal, as you heard, of Uplift Harris is to reduce poverty and promote economic stability while providing equitable access to resources. As we all know, the COVID pandemic and its economic effects highlighted the financial challenges that low-income individuals and families face, many of whom were just a paycheck away from being homeless, of not having food, of starving, etc. And so, or even a financial emergency. This program's small monthly infusion of cash can be the difference between stability and falling deeper into poverty for a number of families in Harris County. After court approval, of the Harris County of this program, Harris County Public Health will develop an RFP to select a vendor to administer the funds using a randomized approach, and we are going to bring in experts to help us develop that process. And we will be overseeing the program's administration. As mentioned, the program will have 2 cohorts, first selecting 1,200 families in the highest poverty zip codes in the county, and the second cohort of 200 to 400 families that are currently participating in Access Harris County. Access Harris County launched several weeks ago, and this model is designed to bring services, a continuum of services across various county departments to some of the most vulnerable populations within our community, to not just get them into the safety net, but to get them out of it to greater well-being and self-sufficiency. And this program will be one of the interventions and services that we're able to offer those families to help support their life trajectory. It is not enough for us to help folks have access to government programs that we administer, but we know that individuals that are living below poverty or are living in poverty want nothing more than the opportunity to be self-sufficient, to determine their own destiny, and this program goes a long way in helping to support that effort. And so the purpose of including, as I mentioned, the Access Harris County program is it also gives us an opportunity to demonstrate what happens when we're able to bring services that Uplift Harris provides, as well as other county programs, to helping to address the needs of individuals in our county. And so, as Dr. King said, and other leaders over the last 50 years, we know that the idea of guaranteed income can really go a long way in helping to eradicate the history and legacy of poverty for many individuals within our country and right here in Harris County. And so I'm very excited for Harris County Public Health to take the leadership in this program, and I'm so happy for the leadership of the judge and commissioner in bringing this program to Harris County. Thank you.
I forgot to mention Janae Ledette took the lead from my staff side, Judge, working with your team very well. Look, the name of this mural is assiduity. Did I get it right, Janae? Assiduity. That means paying attention to detail. That essential worker has worked for the city of Houston, cleaning buildings for 20 years. I don't want to steal the thunder, but we got him from SEIU, the union. So there'll be another event sometime soon where they will introduce him to the public. But with that, the judge and Smug was the artist. And this was part of the second round of murals with the Downtown Management District in the City of Houston and Precinct 1. It's called Big Art, Bigger Change. This program will bring about a big change. Judge Hidalgo, going to take any questions. We'll take any questions you might have.
After the pilot is done, how will you know if it was successful? Like, what kind of measures are you looking for?
There's an evaluation component that's part of it. The first program came out of Stockton, California. And all of them have a research component. I don't want to look at my notes. I know it's in the packet. It tells you how the money's being divided, but research will be a big part of it. Barbie, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was just going to say, ultimately, the goal is to improve well-being and economic opportunity. And so, like in other places, there are many that are emerging, right? There are a lot of counties or jurisdictions have used their ARPA dollars to support the programming. But as Commissioner mentioned, the program, SEED program in Stockton, evaluated, economic opportunity. Did this advance economic opportunity? Did it improve mental health and well-being? Did it improve parenting? Did it improve, access to food security? How secure and stable were people over the course of the pilot program? So that's the kind of measures we'll be looking at.
Yeah, and part of what we've seen and the reason why we want to take the leap into implementing this is because of the data that's been collected from elsewhere. And so we'll be collecting similar types of information. So what kinds of investments do individuals ultimately make with these funds? Based on what's happened elsewhere, we expect that it will not be frivolous. It will be to truly make ends meet. What kinds of emergencies is this able to stave off? And how do they do compared to peers who did not receive this kind of cash infusion? It's some kind of way, an interesting natural experiment, because there are many people in similar situations who will not be able to receive these funds. So what's been fascinating is, as these kinds of programs have popped up around the country and around the world, they seem to be as close as you can get to a solution to that kind of intractable poverty that we've talked about about for a long time, but no matter what we try, there's just some sort of permanence to this segment of folks who simply cannot break out of it.
And looking at the future, I know it's 1,500 people. There's a lot more people that live in poverty. Are there plans? I know you just announced your pilot program. Are there plans to expand it maybe beyond this? And if so, how would you be able to afford that? How could something like this be sustained?
Everything is depending on the results, right? So right now we want to do a pilot. We want to see what happens. We don't expect that we will be an outlier where it doesn't work, but we could be. And so that's partly why we wanted to begin with a pilot. And then after that, it's a matter of figuring out, are the cost savings of this worth it? For example, if you keep someone out of homelessness or out of criminality, it costs so much money for us to be able to house our homeless population, to process somebody through the criminal justice system, if somebody is able to maintain productive employment, et cetera, et cetera. So those are calculations that we're going to have to make as we go along. Our budgets are very tight, particularly this year. So, it'll continue to depend also on the economic stability of the region. But we believe, and sort of what the economic shows is obviously the region itself would be even more economically stable and even stronger to the extent that we don't have these folks at the margins where a $400 medical bill, a car that breaks down would suddenly end up in them losing their jobs, losing their household, or having some sort of issue with their children or their health.
I might add, it's a big investment. We did not invest as much as LA County. They were a little under 40 million. LA County is 10 million people. We're about the size of Cook County, not quite as much as Cook County. LA was a combination of some local funds, some philanthropic money. Cook County was ARPA money as well. So we're very appreciative to the Biden-Harris administration for giving us this opportunity and making ARPA funds available to do this, and our congressional delegation.
I have a question about the ARPA money. Early in the pandemic, there were rules about you can use it for this and not this, and then it became broader. Can you kind of speak to how this is like one of the intended uses of the ARPA money, or is it? Was this something that that Congress was hoping would be used this way?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we're not the only ones to spend the funds in this kind of way, and we spend them in programs that are evidence-based and that run the gamut. And so this is one of them. We've invested ARPA dollars to improve broadband in our communities all throughout the county. There are certain areas where there isn't adequate access, and sometimes we forget, right, that our county is very urbanized and in some points a little bit more rural. We've also implemented ARPA programs on the public safety side, one-time programs, a growth of our court system, for example, to process the case backlog faster. We've used ARPA dollars to tackle homelessness. We have now seen about a 20% reduction in homelessness that we've achieved hand in hand with the city of Houston, just as homelessness has increased elsewhere in the country. I could go on and on about our kinds of initiatives, keeping people in their homes and making sure that landlords continue to receive those rent payments. That's also been a big use. So it's been a transformative investment on the part of the Biden administration. We have seen the results elsewhere, national statistics that show child poverty decreases, that show really a pretty important dent in various statistics. And the question is, can we maintain that when we don't have this kind of infusion of cash? And that's what we're trying to find out, is see what works most and what we can maintain. Early childhood education is another big investment that we've made, that we're going to open the slot applications here very soon. So I think it's all the decisions have been made by committee through a process, and I'm very proud of the way that we've invested these funds so far.
I think the White House will be very excited.
How did you come up with the $500 number? I know the Austin program was $1,000 cited here. $500 nowadays doesn't go nearly as far as it did even a year ago. USDA says groceries for family of four is up $50 this time compared to last year. So
based on the amount of money that we could allocate. Obviously, we have more needs, more ideas than we have funding. So the $20 million figure, 20 million, 0.5, I think, was the figure we had, and we backed it up from there. So if the pilot goes well, that's community support. If the data shows it has an impact, maybe there'll be other federal money, maybe there'll be state or local support. We'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. But I'll tell you what, coming from a neighborhood that will qualify. Not obviously not the one I live in now, but the one I came from. $500 is a big difference to a lot of people in Sunnyside and in the Fofo in Acres Home.
Yeah, and just I want to put a fine point on that number of the kinder survey, and almost half of folks can't afford a $400 emergency here in Harris County and around the nation. That's also the same statistic. And so $400 emergency, we figure $500 infusion, that can pay for a lot of things for folks who are right there at the margins. But we'll see how much of an impact it can have.
Señor, me gustaría saber, una vez que sea esto aprobado, estiman que sea para otoño, pero ¿cuál sería ese proceso para que la gente pueda aplicar por este tipo de ayudas? Y mencionan que sería por persona, ¿sería por una persona en el hogar o varias personas en el hogar pudiesen aplicar por esta ayuda?
Alrededor de septiembre abriremos las aplicaciones. Van a poder aplicar los residentes de estos códigos postales, de estos 10 vecindarios, y pues imaginamos que van a haber más aplicantes que espacios para participar. Entonces, después de eso va a haber básicamente una lotería y de ahí seleccionaremos participantes. Serán un individuo por hogar si califican las familias indocumentadas, y bueno, son 18 meses, $500 mensuales.
¿Cuántas familias esperan ayudar con esta?
Alrededor de 1.600 familias. 1.200 de las familias son a través de este proceso al azar, y las otras 400 son familias que son ya parte de un programa de nuestro Departamento de Salud Pública, que son familias realmente con muy, muy bajos recursos, que requieren apoyos de salud mental, todo tipo de apoyos. Entonces este va a ser otro de los recursos que se les va a ofrecer.
¿Tienen que demostrar cierta constancia de algo para hacer este proceso de aplicación? ¿Demostrar algún tipo de dónde viven? ¿Demostrar algún tipo de documento para información para la gente?
Tienen que demostrar que viven en uno de los 10 vecindarios. Entonces los vecindarios, nuevamente los tengo por aquí, son los vecindarios con más pobreza en el condado Harris. Y además de eso, estamos intentando que sea fácil participar. O sea, obviamente los fondos son limitados. Son los vecindarios de Forest Acres, East X Jensen, Sunnyside, Northgate, Setges, South Park, Greater Fifth Ward, Golfton, Galena Park y Acres Homes. Son los 10 vecindarios. Entonces, ese es el requerimiento realmente. Director, about one person, we wouldn't have multiple people in the same household, right?
Right, that's correct.
Okay, I talked to an economist. He said that you cited studies, but he's looked at them and said that they're inconclusive, that this truly works long term. It's only 18 months, so it's like it's guaranteed income for a while. He said what does work is educational programs, pouring that kind of money towards education. Why not put this money towards educational programs? And I want you to justify to taxpayers using $20 million to go towards Harris County neighborhoods.
So there is not one silver bullet, right, for any issue, whether it's crime, whether it's homelessness, but we have achieved a 10% reduction in crime. We have achieved a sustained 20% reduction in homelessness. We have been able to reduce our court backlog. We've been able to make it through the pandemic, et cetera, et cetera. And why? Because we look at things from various angles. And so is it important to invest in education? Of course. That's why we put $30 or $40 million toward apprenticeships and retraining. Is it important to invest in early childhood education? Of course, that's why we have $40 million toward that. But is it important to make these investments as well? It is also important. And all of this in economics as well, it's not just plain math. All of this requires assumptions. None of these programs have gone on for all but a few years, and so all of us are learning as we go along. But part of what we have a duty to do as leaders in Harris County is to look at what's cutting edge, to look at what's working, and we have this opportunity of federal funds that are coming that we were not expecting, and to use them on something that may well be one of the keys to tackling poverty in our county. So I'm not going to pretend like this is going to solve all of it alone, but we are investing in all of the various solutions that have been shown to have an impact.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.